Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel where we bring you the latest and most intense updates about Sheikh Hamdan and his family. If you are new here and haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe now and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss any important update. In my last video, today Sheikh Hamdan is wedding with future wife. Now, let's move on to your topic. Sheikh Hamdan stood by the wide glass window of his palace, watching the golden sunset melt into the quiet desert horizon. The city below was alive with lights, movement, and distant laughter. Yet inside his heart there was a silence so heavy it felt louder than any noise. Today, Fazza was very sad and alone. Not because of weakness, not because of fear, but because sometimes even the strongest souls carry storms no one can see. The breeze touched the curtains softly, like a gentle hand trying to comfort him. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the wind brush against his face, but it could not take away the weight resting on his chest. His phone lay silent on the table. No messages, no calls, no familiar voice to break the loneliness. The world expected him to always smile, always inspire, always lead with confidence. But tonight, he was only a man with a heart that missed something he could not even explain. He remembered the days when laughter came easily, when dreams felt closer than the stars above Dubai's glowing skyline. He remembered walking under open skies, riding through endless sands, feeling free and alive. Those memories now felt like distant echoes, beautiful but painful. Time had changed many things, and responsibilities had slowly built walls around his emotions. People admired the crown, the title, the power, but very few ever asked how his heart was surviving behind it all. He walked slowly into the quiet room, the soft echo of his footsteps reminding him of how empty the space felt. A single lamp glowed near the couch, casting long shadows that danced on the walls like memories refusing to rest. He sat down, resting his elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. His thoughts wandered endlessly, replaying moments he wished he could return to, words he wished he had spoken differently, chances he wished he had taken with courage instead of silence. Sometimes sadness doesn't arrive with tears. Sometimes it comes as numbness, as a hollow space inside the chest where joy once lived. Fazza felt that emptiness tonight. He tried to breathe deeply, reminding himself of strength, patience, faith. Yet the heart has its own language, and tonight it whispered loneliness into every breath he took. He picked up a small photo frame resting near the bookshelf. It showed a moment of genuine happiness, a rare captured smile that came from the soul, not the camera. His fingers traced the edges gently, as if touching the memory itself. A faint smile appeared for a second, then faded like mist. He missed connection. He missed being understood without needing to explain. He missed the warmth of presence, the comfort of shared silence, the feeling of being seen beyond the public image. Outside, the moon slowly climbed into the dark sky, bathing the city in silver light. The stars looked distant but faithful, always shining even when hidden by clouds. Fazza leaned back against the couch, his gaze fixed upward, letting the quiet night hold his thoughts. In this stillness, he allowed himself to feel everything he usually kept locked away: the pressure, the expectations, the hidden fears, the quiet longing for a simple happiness. He wondered how many people in the world felt exactly like him at this very moment, surrounded by everything yet missing something essential. Loneliness has no connection to wealth or status. It visits every heart without permission. It reminds even the strongest souls that they are human, that they need love, understanding, and peace just like anyone else. His phone suddenly vibrated. For a moment, hope flickered in his eyes, but it was only a notification, nothing meaningful. He placed the phone face down again, exhaling slowly. Hope can be fragile when the heart is tired. Still, deep inside, a small flame refused to die. Fazza believed that sadness was not permanent, that even the longest night eventually meets the morning. He stood up and walked to the balcony, stepping into the cool night air. The city lights stretched endlessly, like a sea of stars below him. He rested his hands on the railing, closing his eyes as the breeze carried the distant sounds of life. Somewhere, people were laughing, dreaming, falling in love, healing. Life was moving forward, even if his heart felt paused in this moment. He whispered a silent prayer, not for fame or success, but for peace, clarity, and the strength to keep believing in brighter days. Sometimes prayer is not about words. It's about surrendering the heaviness of the heart and trusting that healing will come in its own time. A gentle calm slowly wrapped, and even the air carried a strange excitement, as if something meaningful was about to unfold. For many, his name was more than fame or royalty. It symbolized hope, inspiration, and quiet strength. People spoke about his humility, his love for his people, his courage, and the way he carried responsibility with grace. Some admired him from afar through pictures and speeches. Others felt connected to his words that often touched the soul. Now, the idea that he would walk the same streets, breathe the same air, and see the same skies created a feeling that was almost unreal. You found yourself thinking about him more than usual. Every update made your heart race a little faster. The city slowly transformed, banners rising, lights being fixed, security teams preparing, and citizens buzzing with anticipation. Cafes were filled with conversations about his arrival. Families discussed where they might catch a glimpse of him, and social media overflowed with excitement. It felt like the entire nation was holding its breath. On the day of his arrival, the sky was clear and bright, as if nature itself wanted to welcome him. Roads were lined with people waving flags, smiling, and recording memories on their phones. Children sat on their parents' shoulders, eyes wide with wonder. Elders watched with pride and curiosity. The sound of cheers grew louder as the convoy approached, and in that moment, time seemed to slow down. When Sheikh Hamdan finally appeared, calm and composed, a gentle smile on his face, the crowd erupted in joy. His presence carried a quiet power, not loud or overwhelming, but warm and reassuring. He waved, acknowledging the people with respect and kindness. For a brief second, it felt like the world became smaller, as if distance between leader and people disappeared. As he moved through the city, visiting important places, meeting officials, and greeting citizens, stories began to spread. Someone said he stopped to speak with a young student and encouraged him to dream big. Another shared how he listened patiently to an elderly man's words. These small moments touched hearts more deeply than grand speeches ever could. It reminded everyone that true leadership lives in humility and compassion. Later, as evening lights painted the streets with golden glow, a special event was held in his honor. Music played softly, cultural performances filled the air, and the atmosphere was rich with unity and pride. Sheikh Hamdan spoke calmly, his voice steady and sincere. He spoke about friendship between nations, about hope for the future, about standing together in difficult times and celebrating together in joyful ones. His words felt like a promise carried by the wind. You listened, feeling something awaken inside your heart. It wasn't just admiration, it was inspiration. His journey, his discipline, his kindness, and his sense of purpose stirred something deep within you. You realized that greatness was not only about power or status, but about character, patience, and service to others. As the night ended and people slowly returned home, the excitement didn't fade. Instead, it settled quietly in everyone's hearts like a beautiful memory. Conversations continued late into the night, replaying every moment, every smile, every word. Photos were shared, stories were told, and smiles lingered long after the lights dimmed. In the days that followed, the city felt different. People walked with a little more confidence, spoke with a little more hope, and dreamed with a little more courage. Sheikh Hamdan's visit became more than just an event. It became a reminder that inspiration can arrive in many forms, sometimes through a single visit that leaves a lasting mark on thousands of lives. Her voice carried warmth, not flirtation, not distance, just a gentle honesty that invited trust. I found myself waiting for her words, leaning into her laughter, memorizing the way her eyes softened when she spoke about simple things. It felt natural, effortless, like two souls recognizing familiarity without understanding why. Days became conversations. Conversations became comfort. Comfort became something dangerous hope. I told myself it was innocent, that admiration is allowed, that connection doesn't always mean intention. But the heart has its own language, and mine was learning her name in every heartbeat. I imagined her presence in quiet moments. I wondered how her silence sounded. I caught myself smiling at nothing and realizing it was her memory passing through me. She never spoke of anyone else. Not once. No ring. No stories of a husband. No shadow of another life crossing her words. If anything, she spoke like someone who understood loneliness, who carried a quiet ache beneath her calm strength. It made me feel closer to her. It made me want to protect that softness. And slowly, without permission, I fell. Not recklessly, not dramatically, gently. The kind of falling that feels like trust. The kind that doesn't realize the ground is disappearing until it's too late. I began to care about her happiness more than my own peace. I began to measure time by moments I might see her again. I began to imagine futures my heart had no right to imagine. Then the truth arrived without mercy. It wasn't a confession. It wasn't a warning. It was a careless sentence spoken by someone else, dropped into the air like a blade wrapped in silk. She's married. The words echoed louder than reality. Married. A simple word with the power to collapse entire inner worlds. I remember the exact second my breath changed, the way my chest tightened, the way the room suddenly felt unfamiliar, like I had stepped into a life that wasn't mine. My mind rejected it at first. Denial fought for hope. Maybe they were mistaken. Maybe it was old news. Maybe there was an explanation that would soften the impact. But there wasn't. She was married. 1,000 memories rearranged themselves instantly, changing meaning, changing color, changing weight. Every smile now carried guilt. Every moment now carried boundaries I had unknowingly crossed. Every emotion suddenly felt misplaced, uninvited, forbidden. I didn't feel anger toward her. I felt disappointment in destiny. I felt betrayed by silence. I felt foolish for letting my heart build a home on land that was never mine. When I finally faced her, I didn't accuse. I didn't demand. I didn't raise my voice. I only asked quietly, "Is it true?" Her eyes answered before her lips did. There was sadness there. There was apology. There was something unfinished that neither of us could repair. She told me she never meant for it to happen, that loneliness can blur lines, that sometimes a heart seeks understanding even when it belongs somewhere else. She said she valued our connection, but had never intended harm. Intentions don't erase consequences. I realized in that moment that love is not only about what you feel, it's about what you protect. And what I needed to protect now was dignity, hers, mine, and the invisible boundaries life had revealed too late. Walking away from someone you care about without blaming them is a different kind of pain. It's quiet, heavy, lonely. There's no villain to hate, no closure to hold. Just acceptance, slowly learning how to breathe.